It seems like you want to make the case that, like human beings, animals are also individuals, and I would argue that a lot of humans also we also look at each other in generalities. I know I'm guilty of stereotyping sometimes, and I have to think through of these things, and so I wonder where you've gathered evidence and what you've seen to say that animals are individuals as humans might be.
Well, we do all make these generalizations, even of human beings, right? We
Right.
say, that the French do this, the French have better food than the English, uh, or whatever it is, or much worse, we use this for our biases that are an excuse for oppressing people, and we just lump everybody together, and we certainly do that with other species. If you are ever in intimate contact with individuals of other species, you see that they all have personality differences. And I'm reading a book right now called The Mind of a Bee, and it talks about what's been discovered in recent years about individual differences in the personalities of bumblebees.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing. If you back way up from that to vertebrates, I mean, I can tell you, like for instance, we have three dogs. They're being very good right now because they're all in the same room with me, and they're staying quiet.
Should we
So
the
that's
mind of a
that's
bee?
right. The mind of a bee. Um, the dogs have totally different personalities, and you could say, well, dogs do this, and dogs are like this. But within a generalization or two, there are tremendous differences that are individual, and they're all like different family members, really.
Right.
They all respond differently. They have little differences in how smart they are or what things they are responsive toward. I used to be a falconer. I used to work with hawks, and individual hawks and falcons are different. They hunt a little differently. Some of them respond to, well, all of them will respond to the person that is working with them a little bit differently. And I think, parrots, the same thing. They're all a little different if you get to know them.
Hmm.
And I think that there's a lot of this. In fact, what I've learned in researching my book, Becoming Wild, which is about culture in non humans, is that in every species where personality has been looked for. And what is personality? Personality is when you're presented with the same stimulus, you respond differently, consistently differently. In every species where personality has been looked for, down to spiders and insects, personality has been found. This, to me, is kind of surprising because before I went into that investigation for that book, I had written a book called Becoming Beyond Words, Beyond Words, and that book was about what other animals think and feel. And at the end of writing that book, my question was, well, at what point in the animal kingdom does awareness and thinking begin? It's certainly in all vertebrates, you can see some of it or a lot of it. And, I was like insects, I don't know. What about insects? If you watch a spider, it seems like they're very aware of what's going on. You watch a spider outside doing something, it acts very differently than a spider that's trying to figure out how to get out of a sink. It seems like they're aware. And what we seem to be learning most recently is that yes, if you do it experimentally and very scientifically, it seems like they're aware. They learn. They have individual differences in how they respond to certain situations, and that is pretty mind-boggling because what counts as the brain in a spider or in a bee is obviously much, much, much smaller than it is in a human being. But it apparently it does not take billions of neurons to have a thought
Hmm.
or to be aware in the way that we would understand awareness in the world around you.
Right. Well, it seems like, just taking off a line from human supremacy, we're just so full of ourselves and so consumed with our own lives and family members and social circles and our culture that it seems like we dismiss the idea that these animals could have similar relations to each other. Like
Well,
there's so much evidence in that, and like
right.